All right, Trajectory team, this is what we're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk about not just the simple message of don't give up, but we're going to talk about being tired, all right? Talking about that whole thing, that whole word, just tired, and how just even hearing the word makes you want to go just lay down and find that comfortable pillow, put it behind your head, and just sit down. Hopefully that pillow is nice and cold, and just getting a good nap. Let me tell you something, guys. There's different levels of tired. There are people who have so exhausted themselves, and they keep draining themselves, and they're not taking the rest that they need. They're not getting the sleep that they need. They're not getting all, and they have driven themselves to almost insanity because they've not gotten any rest. I do believe in rest. But where we're going today is a little bit different than that. I do think you need to take time to unwind, and everybody knows what that time is that they actually need versus what they're actually taking. Because a lot of folks, listen, I can say to a friend, hey, what are you doing when you get to the house? Hey, I'm going to watch this. Have you seen this new Netflix series? Have you seen this? Have you all these different things that they're spending time doing? They get to the house, they say they're exhausted, and so they sit down, and instead of trying to fill their mind with some good stuff, they're filling their mind with just mush. You say, well, Ryan, that's relaxing to them. Yeah, but the whole time, if they're still inputting stuff into their head, and if it's a big negative series, I'm going to watch this mob series, I'm going to watch this zombie series, I'm going to watch all these other kinds, and all this stuff that's going in and seeping into their brain, it's going to exhaust them even more. And especially if they're binging on this stuff, and listen, I'm going to watch 2-3 hours a night on this Netflix series and all that. Just stuff that just doesn't even matter in the course of the world. They're tiring themselves out for no reason. If you're spending all this time with your hobby, great. It's a hobby that you're trying to work on. Maybe you're working on it for a business. Maybe you just enjoy doing it, and so you're into that and all. That's well and good too. You're spending time. You're getting exhausted. Let's talk about that exhaustion just now for a minute. For the person who's getting exhausted doing worthless things in life. And I'm not talking about you're following your hobby and you're creating things and you're following your gift, because that's what I mean by hobby is there's a gifting that you have that you've decided to go off and do and do well, and may even be lucrative for you, maybe any of those things. Those are good things to get tired about. What's not good to get tired about is constantly worrying, constantly being in anxiety, constantly wasting your time with things that aren't going to feed you, that aren't going to make you better, that aren't going to make you stronger. And yeah, I guess this ends up more of a lecture than anything, because if you're wasting your time with that stuff, granted, spend a little time with it if you love it. Hey, listen, I love the video games. Fine. Play a little bit of it, but don't stay on that. It's going to exhaust you even more. You're going to be even more exhausted and not even know why, and you can't give your all to everything else. But getting past that threshold of tired. Okay, let's say you've worked that long day and you're going home, especially you're single mom, single dad, or something like that. You go home and you are just slap worn out. The best thing in the world that you can possibly do to break through tired is to have a schedule that you're looking at. You can say, look, when I get home, this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to do this for this long. I'm going to spend some time with my family. I'm going to spend some time with my kids. I know we got to cook. We may have to cook quick. It may be the microwave. It may be all of these things. But instead of then crashing and saying, okay, what am I going to, how am I going to get the next show in that's going to come and go and flush through you like a candy bar? Instead of doing that, say, how am I going to also feed myself mentally? How am I going to feed myself emotionally? How am I going to relax for just a minute? And I know a lot of people that are midday that say, look, I am so tired and so exhausted. I just need a nap. And a lot of people have an opportunity to do that. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. They can take that nap, take the 15, 20 minutes, not the 2 and 3 hours. That's for Sunday or afternoon or whatever, but it's not for every day. 15 or 20 minutes, a little power nap, and keep going. Because I'm going to tell you something. Every bit of what you want to accomplish. I'm talking to people that want to accomplish. Nobody's going to listen to this anyway that doesn't want to accomplish or doesn't want to be, make themselves better, grow better, allow God to do everything He can through you. Nobody's going to watch this unless they're wanting to get past the threshold of tired. Like, I just don't have time. I just don't have this. I just don't have that. I'd love to do this for God, or I'd love to build this company, or I'd love to teach this class, or I'd love to teach other people to do this, or whatever it may be. You're just so doggone tired, though. You got to come to a point where you say, I'm going to break past that threshold of tired. That I'm going to do some amazing things in my life, but the only way I can do that is once I get to tired is to go past tired. And that means, okay, listen, you've gone through your regular day. Maybe that's not the job that you dreamed of, but you have a job and you're doing your best there. Don't ever stop doing your best because you're tired there. You do your best there until God has given you something even better. But here's the thing. Do your best there. But that's not the job you wanted. That's not a job that you feel called to. That's not a job your gifting is in. Do your very best there. But you come home and you're tired. It's like, man, I want to be able to, I can give you a case in point. I love to write, but I don't do an awful lot of it. But I've just gotten to the point where I get home and come 9:30, 10 o'clock, I am just beat. The whole day has been full. And what I've decided to do is I've got to crash through that threshold and say, you know what, whatever I do, I've got to do this much today. Even if it's just a paragraph, I'm going to write this much tonight. I'm going to write this much the next day and that much the next day, and saying I'm going to crash through. And your threshold becomes even further along. Like you say, listen, last year I could only get this far. It's a lot like a runner. Somebody starts out, they want to learn to run. They don't even run, okay? And they run a block one day. And they say, listen, that's all I'm going to do today. And they add just a little bit every day until, who knows, a couple of years later, they're running a few miles a day and they're excited. They just got more energy. And also that means they can endure even more. When I had a construction company and we were laying block, when we first start laying block, your arms are so tired, so beat, so hurting, all those things. And you say, man, I just don't know if I can do that. But the more you did it day after day, week after week, month after month, the easier it got. It was like it was no big deal. So then when you were around people who were just starting or who couldn't do quite as much, you could continue to outpace them, and it wasn't a big deal because it was like, man, I do this every day. This isn't a big deal. Now, because I've been out of block work for a long time, except for mission trips. When I go on a mission trip, man, that first day nearly kills me. It nearly kills me. Well, the same is true of the threshold of tired. You say, man, I'm tired. But if you work through that threshold, if you work through it just a little bit, incrementally work through that threshold, you've hit a wall, but you say, in my wall, I feel it in my gut. I get nauseated. When my body says, you better lay down, I feel nauseated. So I'll take it one step further. Not to the point of vomiting or anything. I'm just talking about I'll take it one step further. I say I'm so tired that I'm going to read one more sentence, even if I have to read that sentence 3 times. And my threshold gets even better. It gets further along. I'm able to step a little bit further than the average person because I take it past that threshold. Look, I know you're tired, but you got to keep going. You do need sleep. Get the amount of sleep. Figure out what that amount of sleep is for you and try to get that. But listen, if you're going past 7-8 hours of sleep and you still think you got to have all that other sleep, that's ridiculous, folks. What we got to do is say, okay, I'm going to start working past my threshold. Okay, I'm not going to get any more than this. For me, it's a 6-hour mark. If I get less than that, I can generally function. But about 5.5 or 6 hours is what I need, and I'm perfect. That gets me through. No matter how tired I was the night before, 6 hours is plenty for me. Okay, generally get about 5 hours 50 minutes. That doesn't mean it's good for you. Maybe you need 8 hours. Maybe you need something like that. But take that rest. But you've got to start working past a threshold. When someone is learning to professionally, not professionally, but athletically and competitively swim. Then they're in a situation where they've got to go past a threshold. You can only breathe so much. You can only hold your breath so much. You can only learn to breathe certain ways as you're taking your head out of the water and such. You got to learn to swim. I can only swim this far. I can only do 1 lap, then 2, then 3, whatever it may be. I can only go the length of this pool 1 time. Then it needs to be 3 and 4. It's the training, all these things. It's the same thing with tired, okay? Tired is another threshold. And it means that once you get there, it's like, okay, I can only lift so much weight. All right, that's right now though, because what they do is they have weights that go all the way down to 1 pound, tiny little weights you can slide on, some chains you can hang down from barbells that weigh so much. What you do is you say this, I'm going to get stronger, but it's just going to take a while. I can only go this far. I can only lift this much weight. What I'm going to do is incrementally increase that. Same with tired. Keep going. Don't give up. I know, folks, that if you're a teacher, you're exhausted. You're handling children all day long that just, a lot of them don't want to learn. A ton of them do. And so you're trying to help those who want to learn, and you're trying to discipline or pull along those who don't want to learn, and it's awfully exhausting. If you're any other field, whether you're a nurse and you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a mechanic, you're any of those things, there's just a certain threshold that you know where that is. But that's where you got to begin to do. Just like any competition that you may be trying to train for, you've got to incrementally increase the threshold. You've got to incrementally increase the level at which you need to get to in order to be better than you were the time before. Now, obviously, that's going to be an incremental process. If it's one step further than you ran last time, then that's better. If it's 2 steps further than you did 2 times before, then that's what you do. There is a threshold, folks. And you say, I don't know if I'm going to get any of this accomplished. I don't know if I'm going to get this paper accomplished. Break it down into pieces, okay? Eat it in little pieces, and you'll be able to do this. And you can do several things like that. If you're reading a book, say, I got to read this many pages a day to get this book done in 2 weeks. And then you get the book done and you start another one. I got to get this many pages done. If you're writing a book, I got to get this many pages done or this many words written every day in order to make this happen. And so you start working on that goal. If it's a time to get up in the morning, you say, that's what time I get up in the morning, period. I'm not going to try to use other days to try to catch up. This is what time I get up. And I'm telling you, you'll begin to incrementally get past that threshold. Now, there is a point at which you say, I've got to get some sleep. I've got to take a rest. I've got to take a vacation. But it's not nearly as much as you think it is, okay? You can get so much more accomplished if you begin to break through some of those thresholds, okay? Not many people like to hear this. I understand that. I get it. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. There's no other way of looking around this. If you want to accomplish things, this world's going to go by just as fast as it did for anybody else. You got the same number of seconds in a day. Every guru out there says this. Every motivational speaker says that. 86,400 seconds in a day. You got the same number of seconds as somebody else that's out there that's been super successful with their life. And by successful, I don't mean necessarily money. I mean successful in the sense that they've had purpose and they've actually done something with their lives that they were desperately wanting to do. Okay, you've got to get past the tired threshold and do some amazing stuff. Do that stuff. What do they say? I mean, the saying's always out there. Do the hard things now and your life can be a lot easier. Or you can do the easy things now and your life's going to be a lot harder. That's not what you want to do. You want to break past the threshold of tired and just keep on working and getting it. And I don't mean just at the job you were at. I mean at some of the things that you love. Keep on working hard to see things happen in your life. If it's a relationship, keep working. I know you're tired. Keep working on that relationship. A marriage, you've got to keep on working on that marriage. Don't give up. You've got to be a person of endurance. And so that's what you got to keep going. You got to keep doing that. You got to say, I'm not going to give up no matter what, no matter how tired, this is going to happen. If it's your dream, whatever that dream may be, then you've got to work past tired. Everybody can work until they're tired. But, that may be 2 hours after somebody gets to work for some people. And, and all the commercials about 5-hour energy and all that kind of stuff like that, that's not important, folks. Those things aren't even needed. Those things aren't even needed. What you need is a purpose to drive for and say, I will not stop here. I didn't come this far just to come this far. I didn't come this far just to come this far. Folks, use the talent that God has given you and keep on keeping on. Break past the threshold of tired and see your dreams come true. Love you guys. See you.